Embassy World 8-Ball Pool Championships for 1998. We've already had some cracking matches. We're through to the semi-final stages of the men's competition. Keith Brewer is already through to the final. His first ever attempt in a final. He beat the world champion Rob McKenna 10-8. We've now got Lee Kendall up against his fellow countryman Carl Morris. Should be another cracker. With me once again in the studio is Tony Holgate, and he's been here all week watching very closely these games. And a little mention about Keith Brewer, because that was a cracking match, wasn't it?
Well, I think Keith's done it exceptionally well to come back, and beat Rob McKenna. Rob McKenna, like the world champion, he's really on top form, is Keith Brewer. Tremendous performance.
And our match tonight, Lee Kendall against Carl Morris. It's a tough one to call because if you look at the quarterfinals, especially from Lee Kendall's point of view, he's had a couple of tough matches, and Craig Reynolds wasn't very easy at all, was he?
No, Lee's another player that's done brilliantly this championships. Carl Morris, bit of a shock beating Jason Twist, and I know I tipped Jason Twist, so I'll probably, I'll do him a favour here, and I'm going to tip Lee Kendall.
Interesting you mentioned Jason Twist, because I think all of us expected him to do better. But
Yeah, right.
Carl just played great positional play, and really we all said I think he made one mistake in the first frame, and that was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, Carl's been brilliant all the way through the tournament. I mean, one of the earlier rounds before the TV stages, Carl was really up against it from a player from South Africa. He was nearly going out of the competition, and he managed to pull together, win that match. And he's just played tremendous throughout the competition.
Of those left in the competition, the youngest one is Carl Morris. He's only 21 years old. Will it be a big pressure for him, being at such a tender age?
I think it's got to be, because it's his semi-finals now, the World Championships. He's got to be really feeling it, but he's got to get it into his mind. He's young, he's got plenty of years ahead of him, but he's got to go out and approach this match well and think, right, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm playing Lee Kendall, fellow teammate on the England side. Just go out and enjoy it, because I think he'll play his best pool then.
All right, well, let's take a closer look now at our two players tonight. Lee Kendall, we start with. He's known as the Fox, and of course, he was a finalist in last year's World Championship, was narrowly beaten by Rob McKenna in that match. He wants to go back again. We caught up with him earlier in Blackpool.
Oh, that's a great shot from Lee.
I'm playing well. I practiced very hard for the tournament, so most I can go one stage further this year.
Oh, what about that for a shot?
I've won big tournaments, but to win the ultimate, it would be the icing on the cake.
So, Lee Kendall, keen on getting to the final yet again this year. But what about his opponent, Carl Morris? Just 21 years age, but he has got a great pedigree in the game. His father's the England team manager, and his brother's pretty handy with a cue as well. And if you want to know what kind of support he's going to get in the semi-final, here he is in the quarterfinals with his final black.
It's there. Carl Morris has seen off the favorite Jason Twist. The England team manager, Jim Morris, delighted with his son's performance here. A terrific one to be sure.
Yes,
Lee, you now know who you're going to be facing in the semi-finals.
and if he plays like that, Jim, I'm in for one hell of a match.
Fantastic stuff by Carl Morris, and a big hug from Mum and Dad. I'm sure they'll be here tonight to cheer him on, as will the rest of the England team. And I think it's an important part of this game is the support that these players get. That'll help his nerves, if any, won't it?
Yeah, I think that Carl's got to remember, he hasn't done all the hard work just by beating Jason Twist. He's got a lot of pull ahead of him against Lee Kendall.
Should be a cracking match. The winner of this match will play Keith Brewer in the final of the World Championships. Let's go down to the floor now for the start of the match with your MC, Alan Hughes.
Thank you, Jonathan. Ladies and gentlemen, the man in charge of this semi-final is Jason Davis, and we welcome the players. A young magician, last year's Player of the Year, and a certain star of the future who has been in terrific form in Blackpool and who is certain to make this a titanic battle, and his opponent, who was a world finalist last year, and his high world seeding of number 3 says it all for this prolific match winner and entertainer. Ladies and gentlemen, together, can I ask you to welcome the Houdini and the Fox? Will you welcome, please, Carl Morris and Lee Kendall? First line, Carl Morris is right.
Welcome to our second semi-final. Carl Morris breaking off here. They call him Houdini because of his escape acts. Obviously, never say die attitude, a big part of the makeup that Carl Morris possesses. And Lee Kendall, the Fox from Stoke, probably the most consistent player in this event. He's always a threat. Last year's runner-up. This year, he wants to go one better, but first, he's got to get to the final. Carl Morris, obviously the hurdle that now faces him. And a good break-off by Morris there. You can see the red into the center pocket. That basically ensures that he's going to have his choice of colors, either reds or yellows.
Red ball's in play.
Electing reds. Well, an early miss. It'll take a little while to settle in. Obviously, this is a major event. In the semifinal stages. Well, right now, down to Lee Kendall. And Lee's on yellows. Well, this semifinal clash here between these fine two young players for a place in the final, opposite the gentleman that has sat right here beside me. Very happy to be joined by UK #1, and obviously, Keith, you're going to be here watching this one probably with more interest than anyone else.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting prospect, really, just to think that you're already there and then watch the other semi-final. As I said in the interview straight after the match, it would be awfully nice to play Lee, because he is one of my best friends. And we're roommates at the events as well. I think it'll be a first if he gets through, to think that we're both in the same room and we're in the final. But having said that, Carl's a good friend of mine as well. So I'll try not to show any bias towards either player here.
And both English teammates on the side that obviously has dominated the team and throughout the years in this event as well.
Well, that's right, and many of our viewers would have seen Lee on many occasions, not in the singles, but in the team as well. And Carl has only been in the team a couple of years. He was here last year. He's had a fantastic event with the team so far. He's finished top of the averages.
This is a big chance for Lee early on here. One that I'm not sure he expected to get. An unexpected miss, but the early indications hold true. Looks like he's queuing very confidently. I personally am tipping Lee certainly to go through here, if for no other reason. He showed so much determination in his quarterfinal match. At 6 each, he was really struggling, and then he pulled out the 3 best frames that he played the whole match to vault home 9-6. Obviously that against Craig Reynolds, a very game performer.
He's played a terrible shot here, Jim. He's just trying to stroke the ball in and leave an angle on this last yellow. And as you can see, he's hampered now by the red. It's going to make this shot twice as difficult as what it should be. And that's a great shot under the circumstances. Now, will he finish on the black? I don't think he has. Been very unlucky. He couldn't have struck it much better. There was no way he could play the shot with side, so he elected to go with a lot of pace. Knew full well he was going to be taking the white up the table.
Might just be able to get through to it, Keith.
Well,
very close.
Sorry, Jim. I was just going to say, I think he can actually see the black. It's whether he can actually see enough to pot it. As you can see there, he can definitely see the black. I think he might go cushion first. And it was a good effort, Jim. There's always a hard shot to go cushion first, and you've got to make contact with the ball very precisely. And he wasn't a long way away.
Well, one thing about it is he's given young Carl a chance here again.
But
You
one
might
thing
well-
you've got to do, sorry Jim, one thing you've got to do at this stage, believe me, is when your opponent does make mistakes, you've got to capitalise on them. I knew full well in my match that Rob wasn't going to make many, and when he did, I had to take the best of my chances. I don't think Lee will make many mistakes in this match. He knows he's got a tough game with Carl. But now, when he does make the odd one like this, it's very important that Carl really capitalises on his mistakes. As we saw in his quarter-final game, when he was playing Craig Reynolds, because Craig was making mistakes, Lee started to make some mistakes as well. And it'll be interesting to see how they go on today.
The reason that Carl Morris played that shot is he knew even if he did miss it, he'd be covering the black. He had a little wall of reds, but has he left a gap here? Be incredibly unlucky if he has.
Well, I think once again, he can definitely see the black, but can he see enough to pot it? Now, if he can't, it's just a slight swerve shot. And I think he's playing a slight swerve, Jim. The cue's in the air.
Great opening shot, that one, and a great opening frame for Lee Kendall in our second semi-final. He's taken the opener here against Carl Morris in this best of 19 affair. He leads 1-0. Got to be feeling good about getting the first frame under his belt.
Well, the first frame's always very important, and especially when you've had more than one chance at it.
Second frame, Lee Kendall to break, leading
Really, Carl will be fuming because he had a good opportunity there. He had a couple of balls he could have played at. But having said that, it was a little bit unfortunate to leave the white in the gap.
Red ball potted.
Red down off the break. But it doesn't look like Lee has finished on either reds or yellows to leave himself an easy starter here. Another look at the break off. We've emphasized throughout this event what a weapon it can be. When you've got it working,
Yellow
you
ball's
can
dominated.
plant your opponent firmly in his seat throughout the frame.
30 seconds.
And that has to be said, it's a bit of a loose one. A bit of a loose shot there from Lee. Now what Lee did, he elected the yellows, and he hasn't made a yellow on the first shot, so it's still an open table for Carl. There's not a lot of work to be done. There is one or two awkward ones. No matter what colour he goes for. There's specifically the two balls bunched there at the top of the table, these two. That's going to be his main problem, because whether he goes reds or yellows, he must get onto one of them.
Yellow ball's in play.
Well, one thing that has impressed about Carl Morris is with such a young mind, he's very sound tactically. And I mean, with you being the English captain and obviously having a say in the proceedings of the team events, as we again see a bad miss from Carl Morris there.
Red ball's in play.
You have to be impressed with the way he thinks the game.
He has come on the scene early in his life, and he's only 21 years old, and it's amazing that he has an old head on young shoulders. He really has matured very quickly. He concentrates his whole life on pool, and his family support him. His mum's a referee, his dad's the England manager, and his brother, Kurt, they're all in the audience, is now the world junior champion. So it just goes to show there's a fair bit of pool played in that family. And I think it's helped him tremendously. He has started off a little unsteady though, Jim, in this match. I mean, I've watched Carl on a number of occasions, and I've played him on many occasions myself. And I've never seen him really miss one or two balls so early on. But this is like a very special occasion, you know, semi-finals of the world title. And whether he's just feeling the pressure a little bit here at the start.
Understandable, really. Biggest event of the year. I'd be happy to see the yellow go down, but he's not landed on one. Didn't intend the kiss on the red.
Well, he didn't intend the pot, Jim, I'm sure. I think he's just played this to go over the pocket. And he knew he was leaving the cue ball pretty safe at the top end of the table. So he'll be a little disappointed that that ball's dropped in. That's a great shot.
Good bit of vision there from Carl, seeing that the yellow would go off the red into the corner pocket.
And of course, what he's done now, Jim, he's opened up that pocket. And the one bad yellow he has got that's tied up with the red will actually pop now into that pocket.
Well, you talked about an old head on young shoulders. There's an example of it right there. Very imaginative.
Time out.
Just calling the referee over. Obviously, something distracted him on the side of the table.
Time running.
Little foreign debris.
Seconds.
Good solid cueing action there.
He's still got a little bit work to do. After potting this ball, he's got the one near the middle, which will be his next one, I'm sure. He's actually screwed the ball back. With him being so close to the cushion, I didn't think he'd play that shot. He's actually just played it excellent. And now perfect to get on the black with the one over the middle.
Well, it promised to be a tight-fisted affair, and it's developing into just that. 1-1 now in this best of 19 semi-final clash. Back for more thoughts from the studio. Carl Morris will be relieved to have gotten the first one under his belt.
Third frame, Carl
But
Morris,
Keith,
frame.
it must be said,
Third frame all.
you know, this is going to be such a difficult one to call. These early frames are going to and fro, and how big they're going to prove in the overall tally.
Well, being quite honest, it's hard to see what player could actually pull away. You know, if a gap could develop. They've both got such ability and such belief in themselves that it may be just the run of the balls or the breaks that decide this
Open
match
table.
more than the player's actual play in the game. It's so important, Jim, under these rules to make a ball on the break. And both players are putting a lot of power into their breaks, as we can see, opening the balls up. But the only thing you're guaranteed is to split the balls up. You're not guaranteed to pot one.
Standard of pool has been so high. No reason to expect a miss from Lee Kendall here. The red's ideally placed, just a matter of keeping that cue ball under wraps. Controlling it nicely. He's weighing out the pattern that he wants to remove the reds now. Oh, Keith, we've been told here that what a top player will do is he'll pick the last red that he wants to use to get onto the 8 ball, and he'll work around that red. Well, Would you believe that? Right in and out of the pocket.
So, Jim, this ball has definitely cleaned out the pocket. As you can see, it's gone in and jumped back out. This does happen very, very rarely. I mean, that's the first time we've seen it during this tournament.
That's
but
right.
We have seen it happen before, I believe.
Yes, first time in this event. Just as I was saying, Lee was just about to go through the motions and remove the reds. One of the billiard gods decided to play a hand.
30 seconds.
I can't even begin to tell you how unlucky that is. The worst part about something like that, Keith, is it sticks in your mind. Now when you're potting other shots, you're wondering if they're going to stay down, if in fact you do knock it in the pocket.
It's funny, yeah, Jim, what you're saying is right. You know, next time Lee has a similar shot like that, he'll be thinking, you know, I don't want to hit it too hard in case it does. But to be honest, it is such a rare thing. We don't really know why it happens. It is very, very rare. It's the first time I've seen it during the whole tournament in any stage, and we may never see it again. So what Lee should do is completely forget it. I know it's not going to be easy. Completely forget what's happened and just get on with the game.
Total snooker.
Well, in this situation, total snooker, Lee just has to hit a red. He doesn't actually have to drive one to a cushion. Now, Carl's only problem here is he has got a bad yellow. This one just below the red at the bottom left here is a big problem for him at the moment. He won't pot in any pocket. And this is why he decided to play the snooker before. I think Carl's trying to work out whether that's a good shot or a bad shot. He's covered the pocket, but he has left the cue ball in amongst the reds. And Lee's well capable of finishing the game from here.
Oh,
Well, there's a fair bit of missing going on out there at the moment. I don't think it's completely because both players are unsettled. I think just that it's the way that the reds and the yellows are developing. You know, they're kind of covering each other up everywhere, and it just hasn't fell for any player. No, there hasn't been a clean break. And I think one of the things also, Jim, is that I think both players, like Tony said, are giving a lot of respect to each other here. Maybe a little bit too much. They're both well aware of each other's capabilities.
Another look at it here again, just trying to keep that yellow in position so as to protect that pocket, guard it. Better shot that time from Lee Kendall.
Well, I'm not sure there, Jim. I think Lee may have been trying to cover the pocket. Because if you just look, you've got the red and the yellow still tied up there together. I think Lee was trying to cover that pocket up. He's got no position, really, on the next red. And really, to carry on going for a clearance wouldn't be too advisable at the moment. There's just times that you're playing this game and you're in this situation, and sometimes you just can't defend. And if you can't defend, then you've just got to go for a finish. And I think that's what Lee's going to do here. He's spotted that this red does actually pass the yellow into the corner pocket. And I have to say, Jim, once again, that was a long way out.
Not a sign of confidence if one might be looking for something from Lee Kendall. Where Carl was looking at the more difficult yellow.
30 seconds.
Passes bottom right. If he gets this, he might well be looking at the game here.
What he can actually do here, Jim, he can actually bring the black into play in the same shot, should he get it. And that's what he was trying to do. Having said that, he's got second prize. He's knocked one of the reds up to the corner pocket, which has completely killed that.
Yes, that wasn't all that bad of a shot, even though missed the intended pot.
Seconds.
Well, I couldn't really understand that shot. He's doubled the ball up and down the table. Now we can see very clearly that this red wouldn't go past the other one. Surely he wasn't hoping it was going to play onto it. And all he's ended up doing is opening up all of Carl's yellows.
Looking very promising right now for Carl Morris. He's played some terrific pool in this event. The last 32, he took out Daz Ward, tournament number 2 seed and former winner of this very title.
Well, it's a bit of a reckless shot there from Lee, and all he's ended up doing is giving Carl a basic finish. And I'm sure it's gratefully accepted.
The 8 goes down, and Carl Morris is taking the third frame in this race to 10. He now leads Lee Kendall by 2 frames to 1. We're back with you at the Stackus Hotel for more action in the Embassy Whirlpool Championships. Well, Carl Morris breaking off here now, Keith. Has to have felt that he had as many chances as he needed that last one. But on the reverse side of the coin, Lee Kendall has to also feel that with the amount of chances that he finally needed to win that frame, that's not going to be a boost of confidence either.
It was a remarkable frame of ball, I have to say. It was to and fro, and people launching and snookering, and he's seen everything there. But all that matters at the moment is it's 2 games all. No one's made any headway.
Red ball's in play.
I think we're going to see him play a snooker here, Jim. He's elected the reds. That's a good shot. He's opened up all the reds in the same shot. Now Lee's in a fair bit of trouble here. Even if he rolls up to the 2 reds, I mean, Carl's got a pretty easy finish on.
Total snooker.
So he's going to have to manufacture something. One option is he could roll up to try and just touch this yellow, get behind it, and I think that's what he's trying. And that's very unlucky. Try to just finish up behind the yellow.
Good effort, though. Just trying to get over to that yellow on the left-hand side, Keith, as you suggested, but still, Carl Morris right now in the favorites role in this frame. Nicely positioned onto the most awkward remaining red. Ideally, he'd like to leave that red nearest the black till last, wouldn't he, Keith?
Well, I was just thinking that myself when he played this shot, and I thought he's going to leave that till last. He could have brought the cue ball round with a lot more pace and gone up for the last two reds, but he's obviously going to have to take it now. Going for this red now is really the only way he can lose the frame. Well, he's on both reds, but it's not ideal.
Good clean pot, though.
Once again, hampered by the yellow ball, queuing over the top. But a good pot. There's a missable pot there.
Would you believe it? Carl Morris has to feel like he's just been cursed. The only thing that could have happened there did.
And like I was saying before, Jim, the reason that this has happened is I think he's gone the wrong way around the finish. He's left himself an awkward ball into the top. He's made a good pot. He's left himself an awkward pocket into the side. He's made a good pot again, but he's lost the cue ball.
Just about potted the 8.
And the worst thing about that shot, Jim, is although he's got the black over the pocket, he's left a gap, and that yellow will go down the rail past it, as you can see. Now Lee's got two options. One is he can go for a finish, but he hasn't got a very easy first pot on. So the other option he's got is to play a safety. It just depends how he feels.
Well, that 8 ball obviously presents a pretty bigger pocket down the bottom left for the 1 yellow on the left-hand cushion.
But I'm just looking at the way the yellows are actually situated here, and considering that Lee isn't playing at his ultimate best, this is quite a difficult finish. He's got 3 yellows near the cushions, and so taking a good think of how he likes to play, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays this nice and slow up the rail, and if it sticks over the pocket, we're very happy.
And we played that in a manner so that if it didn't go in, it was going to do just that.
But he played it excellently, Jim. Didn't even touch the sides, went straight into the pocket once again. And this is what I was trying to say, Jim. It wasn't the easiest finish in the world. He's had a couple of balls near the rails, and these pockets aren't very forgiving. If you're slightly out, it won't have it. And he wasn't a long way out with this one, Jim.
Very surprised that that didn't drop was Lee Kendall. Is he going to try and flick this in? He's done it. Carl Morris has done it. He's potted the 8 to go the odd frame in front again. It's a to and fro match here, not knowing which way to swing. Let's check back in with Jonathan.
For the next frame.
Well, it's been pretty scrappy stuff.
Training 3 frames to 2.
In stark contrast, Keith, to the match that you played, obviously, with Rob McKenna, there was a premium of mistakes. There's probably been more mistakes in the early going here than in your entire match.
Well, I have to say, I mean, I know both players very, very well, and I'm quite surprised myself by the number of errors from both players. And I can't really think of any reason why. There's bad judgment, bad play, little bit of bad luck for both players. It's really a combination of everything.
Yellow ball's in play.
But no player seems to be taking the game by the scruff of the neck, and I think, you know, in a match like this, that's what one player has to try and do.
Well, that's the objective facing both Morris and Kendall certainly for the moment, but Carl Morris at the table right now. Looks like all the yellows are available. There'll be no better way to gain a little of that momentum and to clear up from this position. That yellow on the right-hand side next to the red ball, looks like it passes. He's just having a quick look at it. There you can see lots of room into the corner pocket. Well, he's developed everything now where he's just got to keep his head down. 8-ball nicely into the middle. All the yellows available. This is one of the best opportunities that Carl's really had.
Well, what it is now, Jim, he's done all the hard work, but every time a player seems to get in this situation, something stupid happens. So let's see if he can just keep full control of the cue ball this time. Obviously, once again, although he's on the yellow, it's not ideal.
Lee Kendall just looks like a dejected pool player right now. It's only 3-2 behind. But noticeable the shoulders are down.
Well, it's happened again, Jim. Yet again. What's happened here, he hasn't got perfect position on the last yellow. He's left it so it would pop, but not ideal. And of course, what that's ended up doing is he's lost now position on the black ball.
Possibility of a double here?
Well, he's got to try and manufacture something here, Jim. And yeah, he's got a possibility of a double.
30 seconds.
And that's a great effort.
Records in play.
But if the pattern in this match continues, as again we see the missed double from Carl Morris, even though Lee Kendall has all the reds nicely open, there's a couple on the right-hand cushions there. He's given us no reason to believe we should fancy him for the clearance here.
Well, this is once again, I mean, normally you wouldn't hesitate for a minute to think that this game is over. The reds are very easy. It's just a matter of keeping perfect cue ball control, that's all. The problem with Lee at the moment is he's just missing shots that you just think he's going to get.
Well, that one was played with confidence, Keith. Went right after the most difficult one on the table.
And that's a great shot. He's missed one or two on the rail so far, and that was a big shot for him. But he's played it very well. And he has attained a good position as well on the next red.
This is just what Lee Kendall would have wanted. Chance back at the table to assert a little of the favoritism that he probably, on paper anyway, enjoyed coming into this one. I think it's safe to say that being the number 3 seed in this event, Lee was favored to go through here.
Yeah, that's right, Jim, because Carl's had to come through the actual first round matches to get into the main draw and then proceed on here. So Lee obviously was starting favourite, but one thing that Carl has done in the last couple of years is he's proved just how good he is.
Well, I can't believe what I've just seen. That red ball has just popped out of the pocket. This is the second time this has happened to Lee Kendall. That was dead center of the corner pocket. Unbelievable. Lee Kendall, so unlucky. Carl Morris pots the 8. He now goes in front, enjoying a 2-frame lead at 4 frames to 2. I mean, that is just inexplainable. Could well have proved the difference in 2 frames already. And that's exactly the difference in the scoreline. 4 frames to 2.
We'll just look at this for a break then, Jim. How do you like this one? He has potted 2 reds on the break, so he will have to elect reds.
Yellow ball's in play.
Well, Lee Kendall can get through to this yellow. A little bit of a careless shot again from Carl Morris. It looks like he can. Lee is completely unnerved, and understandably. How can you possibly maintain a positive outlook when you've got to feel like your world has just come crashing down? Carl trying to develop the most awkward of the red balls on the table. Looks like he's going to take the double on here.
Long way out of it though, Jim. Screwed the white back safe as well. I think he kind of knew he wasn't really on that double. Slightly the wrong side of it. But of course, one thing he has done is he's got it out into the open. It was kind of a dead ball, and so he wanted to bring it into play, which he's done. And of course, he's been very fortunate because it's come down near the bottom left-hand pocket where Lee's got a couple of yellows. So he hasn't left him a great deal. Right, now what Lee was trying to do there, he couldn't quite see that yellow, and what he was going to try and do was drive it towards the bottom left-hand pocket where Carl's red had just gone. But what he had to do, he had to play it with swerve because he couldn't see enough of the yellow, and what he's done is over-swerved the shot. So another good opportunity here for Carl, and if he does get these, Jim, of course, talking now, he's going to have like a 3-frame gap.
Good positional shot, that one from Carl Morris. Just stun this in, play the 8-ball bottom left. And Morris is looking to go in front. 5 frames to 2 here. The 8 down, confirmation of that scoreline. 5 frames to 2 for Carl Morris. The billiard gods have smiled on him, and he's doing it with his cue as well. It's a race to 10, and he's got a comfortable 3-frame lead. Stackis Hotel, and we're back with you for this year's Embassy Whirlpool Championships.
Red ball pottage. Red ball's in play.
Kendall with his choice of reds or yellows. He's got to try and make something happen here. Forget about the previous events.
Yellow ball's in play.
Not the best shot that Lee's played.
Well, the Reds were the better suit there, and what he's got at the bottom left-hand pocket is already covered. So what he's tried to do is just cover up this one. He has got one or two awkward Reds that he feels like, with him having a deficit at the moment, he's not going to attack the game. He's going to try and defend the situation. Hasn't played that as well as what he could, as the yellow does pass, and Carl played a very good shot there, wedging the yellow in. Little bit of tactics going on now, both players trying to gain the pockets. Another good shot there from Lee, played it with a load aside, actually just swerved the cue ball around the yellows a little bit to get at that one.
And there's the clock that's used here. The players have 1 minute with which to play a shot. They'll get a warning at 30 seconds. The stopwatch that is watched so closely by timekeeper Mike Regan there. Now, in a match like this where tactics are employed, Lee Kendall, obviously the experienced one, been here many, many times. Carl Morris, at only 21 years of age, he was the young player of the year, in fact, last year. But would you favor Kendall in this situation?
Normally, you'd always favour Lee in a tactical exchange, which is what's going on at the moment. But having said that, Carl is very experienced as well. And that's a foul.
Foul, 2 visits.
The reason for that, just in case our viewers aren't sure why that's a foul, is a ball must touch a cushion on every shot if a ball is not pocketed. And as you can see there, he's dropped short of the middle. Nothing has touched the cushion. And so that's a 2 visits for Lee. And it's just funny there, Jim, when things aren't going well, Lee's potted the red, moved the yellow out, it's gone straight over and gone on top of one of his other reds, which has now got a yellow on either side. So he's still got a little bit of work to do here.
Well, he's got his second visit still in his pocket. So if things don't go exactly right, he'll have a second visit to do it, but he's got an awful lot of developing to do, even given the fact he's got 2 visits.
Well, he's not played it well there, Jim. It's bunched up with the other red. He's got to be a little bit careful what he does. I think he's played it in such a way, I think if he'd have moved it into a potable position, he was going to maybe take the double on the other red on the left-hand side. But has changed his mind now.
Carl Morris having a good think about this. The 2 yellows on the right-hand cushion need to be developed. It looks like he's going to do it in one go. It's all happening. One-way traffic in favor of Carl Morris.
Well, it has to be said, Jimmy's been very, very fortunate to finish there with the cue ball. Developing both balls, he had the chance of playing the plant up the rail. He's played it all off in one go. He knew he was driving this cue ball up the table, but to finish like that is quite incredible.
30 seconds.
saving shot from Lee Kendall. Another look at it. Played off the cushion with a little bit of bottom to straighten it out. And pockets the red. That's a pretty good shot. Here you can see the situation facing Carl Morris.
Total snooker.
Good shot on 2 counts. He's nudged the red over the middle pocket, giving himself a chance in this frame.
Most important thing from Carl here is he has to make contact with a yellow, because Lee has still got one very bad red there on the side rail, so it's very important that he makes contact here. Well, he's achieved the main objective, which was not to make a foul, but he has actually took the cue ball up the table, so Lee can now use this red. It's on the top side of the middle pocket. And it's important now that he gets good position if he's going to try and develop this one bad red he has. Well, he's had a little help there from one of the yellows, and it's not finished ideal, I don't think. I don't think this red goes between the black and the other red. No, he's looking at playing the plant instead. I didn't think it went quite through the gap there. Got to be careful if he does make this plant where the other red finishes.
Good shot, that one.
It's a good shot, but he just wanted the red ball to travel another 4 or 5 inches. And this is still a tough pot for him.
Come on, Carl.
Well, he's over. He's tried to actually cut it with a loader side and just bring the cue ball back, and he's overcut it. Now, it just depends what he's left here, because this cue ball has finished right up behind the 2 yellows, and I'm not sure that he's left Carl a clean path through.
Difficult to tell, certainly, whether or not he can get through to play the plant up. Either one, as you say, Keith.
I don't think he can, Jim. I don't think he's got a clean shot at it.
There you saw the referee just touch the table. That's the 30-second warning. As I said, Carl Morris has a hearing impairment. And that's how he's notified that he has 30 seconds remaining.
Well, we didn't realise he could get through to that one. He must have just got past that ball there. Yeah, it just went. Now, looking at the fact that these 2 balls are tied up, these 2 yellows near the top, he may just roll this in and play the snooker. In doing so, of course, he will develop both of the yellows. And I think that's what he's doing. This is probably the wise shot, Jim. He's got a good lead. And looking where Lee's last red is, it isn't ideal. It's not right over the pocket, so not much chance of him potting it out the snooker. Now all he has to do is make sure he hits a cushion. That's fine.
Oh, snooker.
And he's in a very strong position in this frame. Looking at it from Lee's point of view now, the only thing he can try and do is really make sure he's got 2 options. Make sure he contacts the red. He could just roll up behind the yellow, but he'd be leaving a Carl a finish with 1 visit. So he needs to try and make contact.
Foul.
Bad luck.
Very bad luck, yes.
2 visits.
Lee has to feel that he got up on the wrong side of the bed today. Whatever can happen wrong is happening.
Well, I think it has to be said that really Lee is having a nightmare. He didn't have a good match in his quarter-final, played well below his best. He did kind of put it together for the last 3 frames at 6 apiece, but not the Lee Kendall we're normally seeing. And here, once again, he's just giving Carl too many opportunities.
This 8 for a 6-2 advantage. Well, Carl Morris is motoring on. He's won the last 4 frames on the spin. He now leads Lee Kendall by 6 frames to 2 in this semifinal clash.
Break, leading 6 frames to 2.
At 4 frames in front. Carl Morris breaking off. He just requires 4 more for a place in the final. And a meeting with Keith Brewer.
Red ball passes.
But Keith, there's nothing that you've seen here, I'm sure, that's going to intimidate you in any way. Not that anything really would anyway, but there's been an awful lot of chances on both sides here. It's really been a case more of Lee Kendall's misfortune
Yellow ball's
leading to the scoreline that we see here.
Well, if anything, from my point of view, I suppose it's like encouraging. But I wouldn't like to put it like that because they're both very good friends of mine, and it's really upsetting to me to see them play this bad.
And also in this game, one day can never lead to another.
No, that's quite right. We all saw yesterday that in the quarterfinals when Lee was 6-0 with Craig, and all of a sudden he just seemed to just change up a gear and off he went. He is the master of coming back from deficits, and he's done it so many times. But all he's doing here is he's just giving Carl more and more confidence, and he's just got to be a little bit careful, because if he goes much further behind, it may just be too much, too big a hill to climb.
Young Carl Morris making a bid to reach the finals here in the Embassy Whirlpool Championships. We've never ever had a repeat winner in this event. You ensured that by taking out Rob McKenna. McKenna, in fact, is the only 2-time winner, but never back-to-back.
Well, I can assure you, Jim, that this is the hardest tournament in the world to win. And I'm not just saying that because it is the world title, but you've just got all the best players from all over the world come to this event. There are literally thousands start off at one stage in preliminary matches and qualifying tournaments, etc. It's a long, long route to come here.
Carl just wants to bump this yellow bottom right, try and get as straight as he can on the yellow to the left middle to leave the 8-ball top left. It's easy from in here, Keith.
Always is. Well, he needed to leave a bit of an angle on this, and he looks a little bit straight. But the worst thing is he's left the cue ball on the rail. So it's going to make this cueing more awkward for him. I don't think the black goes into the top left-hand pocket, so he needs to play this with a little bit of pace. Well, by the way he's played that, then obviously it does.
Half a chance for Lee Kendall.
Red ball's in play.
You just can't believe the amount of opportunities that are being given each player. Mind you, this looked like it could easily have dropped too.
And that ball has stopped right on the lip. It is so far in the pocket. If you look up the rail, you can probably see about a quarter of the ball. Once again, Lee completely out of sorts here.
Totally gone is Lee Kendall. The 8 begging. And no longer. Carl Morris deposits it. He now leads Lee Kendall by 7 frames to 2. It's all one-way traffic. And what do you make of this, Jonathan?
Well, there's no question about it. The Fox is being handed all the way, and Carl Morris is really, really putting the pressure on now in this semi-final. Tony, you mentioned earlier, this is not going Lee's way, and it's not necessarily all his fault, is it?
No, I mean, a lot of shots he's played, we've had balls coming out of pockets. He's been unlucky with a couple of in-offs, all sorts happening.
Carl's got the lead, he's playing well, but even he is making mistakes almost every frame on the black ball.
Yeah, he's missed about 3 or 4 black balls, left the black over the bag, Lee's come to the table, and he's just failed to take advantage.
We've seen players in the past in other games take a break, gather themselves, and come out and play a different game. Is that possible for Lee Kendall, do you think?
Well, he needs to sort himself out. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, Lee, to me, just doesn't seem to be at the races. I mean, with his game against Craig Reynolds in the quarter-final, you saw Lee at times he was all at sorts, and again he seemed to be, he's throwing his arms at the balls.
He's starting to get a reputation for it. I seem to remember in last year's final he did exactly that. He was losing that, gathered himself, came back, and although he didn't win, he made a much better game of it.
Well, he's a strong character, Lee, and this match now is going to take all the strength that he can muster, I can tell you.
Thanks, Tony. Well, we'll take a short break here on Sky Sports. We'll be right back with all the action from the semi-final in a moment.
A very warm welcome back to the Stackis Hotel here in Blackpool for more action in the Embassy Whirlpool Championships. So Lee Kendall breaks off here, frame 10, and it appears that nothing has changed. He's just had the mid-session interval, hoping to try and turn it around. He is completely lost at sea right now. And still, the boat remains on course, lost. At 7 frames to 2 behind, precious little has gone right for Lee Kendall. He's lost the last 5 frames on the spin to that man, Carl Morris. Now, I didn't see Lee out in the foyer. Carl was around, obviously, having a jolly old time with everybody, but Lee, I expected to see him out swimming in the ocean.
Red ball's in play.
Again, the miss from Morris. These pockets very unsympathetic. If the ball hasn't been in, it's been refused. And sometimes when it has been in, it's been refused. But that was yesterday. This is today. And right now, Lee Kendall has to try and regroup. That's more like it. Good, confident pot, but still not fortunate the way that they finished. He's bumped the other red into the yellow and developed the yellow over the pocket. Basically acting as a goalie for the other red.
Been very unlucky, and I don't think that red will pass the yellow, and he's in a lot of trouble. He's already got the 1 or 2 bad reds at the top end on the left, and he's got a fair bit of work to do here. Well, he's going to have to try and develop these two reds that are near to each other. These two reds at the top left, he's looking at them now. And I think he's going to play for a snooker. I think he's going to try and clip off the first one, develop both of the reds and play the snooker at the same time. Well, never thought for 1 minute that that would actually go. Throwing the gauntlet to the winds a little bit there. I think he's really had a go for it, and all he's ended up doing is bringing all the reds back down the table.
Where the yellow covers the pocket.
And what he's actually done there, he's actually hit the outside red first in pocketing the left hand of the reds.
30 seconds.
Not sure that was the right option there, Jim. I thought he could have clipped off it on the left hand side, opened both of the reds up, nestled the white in behind and waited for a better opportunity.
Obviously trying to force the issue is Lee Kendall, and Carl Morris will be looking to get a shot now where he can attack the two yellows in the center of the table. I wanted to leave the one over the bottom right to last, ideally clearing the pocket for the 8-ball.
Well, both of these yellows will actually pot into the right-hand centre pocket, so I'm thinking this is what he's going to try and get at. And that looks pretty good to me. Overrun it slightly. Playing this finish, of course, knowing full well that this yellow is over the bottom pocket. I'm not so sure, Jim, that that was probably the best shot in the world, because now by potting that, he's, well, if he doesn't finish these now, he's leaving Lee a very easy finish. I'm not particularly sure that was the right shot, but obviously very confident. He's got a healthy lead.
Well, time will tell. Obviously, Keith, I thought he was going to leave that till last. That was kind of his insurance policy, but not to second guess him now. It looks like it might well have been the wrong decision.
Well, had he got the yellow into the top pocket, of course, Jimmy would have won the game, but considering the way the balls were lying, I just don't think it was the right shot.
Lee was trying to develop that red and bump it over the middle. He hasn't hit it quite hard enough, but I think he can still get through to the one bottom left. But that's always going to be the danger ball now. If he can just leave himself a nice angle on the red to the bottom right, you can see that one dead straight in. He wants to leave a nice angle on the one to the opposite corner to try and possibly even dislodge, if not play right onto that other red.
That's right, Jimmy does have the two options, of course. He can play to disturb it. The only danger there, of course, is when you cannon the ball, you're never sure quite where it's going to finish. But what he may elect to do is, of course, play onto it, take it down the rail into the pocket where the black is, and should it stay over the pocket, at least it is protecting the black ball. And I think he's deliberately played to get on this quite straight. I think he's going to screw back across the table and try and get on it that way.
So he's got to get the top side. Deep screw with a bit of right-hand side as he looks.
Well, Jim, it's another loose one. Considering where all the reds were situated before, should have really taken this finish out again. He's just not striking the cue ball like he normally does here. I'm not sure if he's on this for a double. I mean,
30 seconds.
the double is the obvious shot, but I think he's just a little bit too straight with the cue ball. It will double kiss. And that's a pretty good shot.
Yes, he had to cover the yellows.
Total snooper. Total snooper. Foul. 2 visits.
Oh, Carl Morris, I'm sure rooting hard for a bend in the table, but it wasn't there. He's overdone the Massey shot there. And was willing that white to curl into the yellow.
You know, Jim, if he'd just hit it an inch harder, it would have just touched the yellow. It would have just come off the jaw, touched the yellow, and probably left the Chinese on the red.
30 seconds.
But considering the situation, this is a must for Lee now. He has to finish this. Normally this wouldn't really be too much trouble, but nothing seems to have been going right for him so far. What about that for a shot?
Certainly worth another look, this one. One of the highlights, the few highlights that Lee Kendall wants to look back at. The 8 down, and he's taking the frame. It's been a long time since he's won a frame. 6, in fact, but he pulls one back now, trailing Carl Morris by 7 frames to 3. This last red, the shot of the frame, once it disappeared, it didn't have to go down, remember. He had 2 visits, but once it went down, victory virtually assured. Well, Lee Kendall must certainly be trying to build himself here. He's got to mount a comeback. 1 ball, 1 frame at a time. He sees Carl Morris breaking off here. Frame number 11. Yellow in, red in, open table for Carl. It has to be said he's been breaking an awful lot better than Lee Kendall.
Breaking very well. And the important thing, Jim, of course, is he's making a ball on the break. In this instance, he's actually made 1 of each.
Red ball's in play.
So as soon as he's nominated his colour, he's automatically on them. And that's a great pot, Jim, and I'll tell you what, they're all there after that shot. There isn't too much work to be done here, it's just a matter of keeping the cue ball under control. Doesn't look too bad. He wanted to be really straight on this red. And he isn't quite straight on that. He wanted to be straight on this red because the red just to the right of it will only pass into the top right hand pocket. And of course by removing that one it was quite an easy out. So Maid elects just to run this through now.
You might have to take the red bottom left as we look now. Much more difficult than he would have liked.
Well, this is just like the last frame, really. He's making hard work of a really an easy finish, and he's left himself a long pot. And it's a missable shot. Although you fancy him to get it, he did miss one in the last frame, just like this. Now, I'm sure that was on his mind, Jim, as he was playing that shot. He's played it very, very well.
This 8-ball to see off the challenge, briefly anyway, of Lee Kendall. It's down. So the brief comeback halted. Carl Morris has taken that frame now, leads Lee Kendall by 8 frames to 3, requires just 2 more for a place in the final. Carl Morris just needing 2 more frames now, leading Lee Kendall 8 frames to 3 in the best of 19 semifinal match. Lee Kendall breaking off. First order of business accomplished. He got one on the break.
Yellow ball potted.
And this is actually one of the better breaks that we've seen from Lee.
Yeah, he certainly opened the balls up well on this break. Plenty of power into the cue ball.
Red ball's in play.
Decided to go reds. They were easily the better suit. His only problem was he had to play quite a long-range shot to start with. And one of the problems is when you're playing the balls right over the pockets, is it's very hard to get good position. And he hasn't got ideal position here. He can, the red in the centre of the table that he's now looking at, he can take this either into the centre pocket or straight down into the bottom pocket. Well, once again, Jim, he's left himself slightly out of position. Within 2 shots, he's out of position. Does have a ball into the middle.
The one thing Lee Kendall doesn't want is he doesn't want his work to be hard. There you can see Rob McKenna, the man that you took out in the semifinals. As we see the miss again from Lee.
And Carl's playing this very sensibly, Jim. No heroics. He's got a big lead now. Just covering the pocket up. Making things very awkward for Lee. He knows he's missing quite a bit tonight. Well, it has to be said, Jim, after playing this very good long-range pot, he does have a chance here to finish this frame. Although he does have a red to the right-hand side of the black ball, it will cause pot into the middle and top pocket. It's just a matter of getting the cue ball in behind it. Now he's decided to leave this till the very last, and the reason for this is also the black will only pass into the bottom left-hand pocket, and in potting the red he will have perfect position on the black. So this is the key positional shot coming up right now.
Could have finished worse, but not a lot.
Well, to be honest, Jim, I mean, he's played the shot, he's played it with running side, brought the cue ball round the angles. That is about the worst place it could have finished, right on top of the yellow. Makes the shot like 2 times harder than what it would normally be.
And obviously that was 2 times too hard. Another look at it. Very difficult pot, even if he wasn't bridging right on top of the yellow. It's a very enviable position that Carl Morris finds himself in right now. What's more is he doesn't appear to want to take any chances whatsoever.
No, he's trying to make sure of it. He knows he's got Lee in a fair bit of trouble. Was trying to bring the cue ball in behind the yellow ball on the side rail there. Was underhit the shot. Hasn't really left Lee any particular pot though. Maybe Lee's on the option here, maybe to roll it down to the pocket.
You sure you haven't tutored him at all, Keith? He looks like he's from the Keith Brewer School of Pool.
Hey, we've practiced fairly much together, and
He takes no prisoners.
no, he does play a good game. Again here, doesn't have to go for the shot, going to play the snooker. Very sensible once again.
Snooker.
I mean, if you just look at the table, I mean, you've got 3 yellers that are very close to the rails, and before we're seeing Lee going for finishes like that when probably he had safety options, and Carl's playing the right shots.
But he's not extracting that extra visit that he would like to.
No, it's not quite happening at the moment, but one by one he will develop these yellers. Now, he has 2 options here. Obviously, he can go game, but he may elect just to roll this over the pocket. Just depends how he feels. Okay, so this time we're going game. This is the key shot coming up now.
He'll be playing the 1 yellow down to the other one, I believe. Planting it onto the one over the corner pocket. The 8 goes down, and Carl Morris now finds himself just 1 frame away from a place in the Embassy Whirlpool Final. Certainly a convincing scoreline over Lee Kendall. It's looking a lot like Keith Brewer and Carl Morris. Back to you, Jonathan.
Certainly Carl Morris is smelling victory now as we approach the end of this game, and deservedly so.
Yes, I think so. I think Lee's had his chances now, and he seems to have missed a couple. I mean, I'd like to go back to thinking the Lee Kendall Quinton hand game. I mean, he came back and it took a lot out of him to win that match, and all the way through the tournament, Lee hasn't been his same old self, and I think really he's got nothing left in the tank.
We spotted him outside during the practice break, actually out on the seafront there with his cue, trying to get his head together. It obviously hasn't worked.
No, not at all. Really, in my mind, this match is now dead. I think Carl's going to, no problem, get over the line.
All right, well, let's get back to the action now as Carl Morris is on the verge of his first final place in the World Championships.
Open table.
Open table. So close to potting that yellow in the bottom corner pocket. There'll be little doubt as we see the break once more from Carl Morris. I think that Lee might well be electing the yellows here.
Yellow ball's in play.
Well, it has to be said that the yellows are very well situated on this break. Carl was hoping that the one was going to drop in over the pocket. And Lee really hasn't got any options anymore. Back against the wall time. 1 more frame and he's out.
Well, he shouldn't be under any pressure now.
30 seconds.
He can employ what they call the loser's stroke now, Keith, and just let that back arm go. Everyone's expecting him to go down from 9-3, so he should be under no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Jim. Been there in the past. And sometimes, of course, it changes the way you think, the way you play, and all of a sudden you can start digging out results. Lee's already done it once in this tournament, as Tony mentioned, again in the Quintin Han game, and it was just like one of the best comebacks you'll ever see. But whether it has taken a lot out of Lee, it's hard to say, because I know that Lee felt he could win this tournament. He told me that in the quarter-final stage, and I'm not so sure it's that. It's just a loss of form, I believe. It's a loss of form, and also he has had his fair share of bad luck. And I'm not just on about the couple of balls popping out the pockets. Just in general, he just hasn't really had the run. And it does count for a lot. Doesn't matter how good you are in any sports, you do need that little bit of luck on your side.
Well, the 8 goes down, and Lee Kendall has just taken his 4th frame in this match. A long ways back, but he trails Carl Morris by 9 frames to 4 in a race to 10. Well, we see the final 8, and that's one sight that isn't seen too often in this match. The 8 going down while he's at the back end of the queue. He can still offer a smile. As I said, probably in his mind right now, no more pressure. He's just got to let fly. Carl Morris, being the tactical sort of player that he is, can make that look like a brick wall in front of you. Kendall into the cue ball, hoping to see something down. A red found its way to the pocket. It's an open table for him. Frame number 14 here.
Red ball's in play.
Well, he's played a very attacking stroke there. He's nominated the reds and gone straight into them. Just like you were saying, Jim, he's not going to hold back anymore. Could have come out a lot better on this. I think he can still cut it in easy enough, but it could have come out a lot easier. And he'll be quite happy with that, I would have thought.
Yellow ball's in play.
Yes, he's guarded the pocket, but obviously the chance here for Morris right away to remove that yellow, go bottom left.
Well, he's had a double result there, obviously. He's played the yellow along the rail, covered the pocket. That was his main objective, but there's had a little bit of luck. He's knocked the red up the table to the top left-hand pocket and completely killed it in the process.
Yes, just watch the cue ball bump that red up over the pocket, guarded by a yellow top left. That was the double result that you alluded to, Keith.
Seconds.
Foul. 2 visits.
A quick look to the heavens, and they haven't been kind.
Well, you could never have foreseen that. Just bad luck. He was trying to double the ball up the table, so if he gets a red near to the top left-hand corner, there's always a chance he can develop the pocket for the red. His only saviour at the moment, of course, is he has got the black down near the right-hand pocket. But all Carl has to do now is just keep his 2 visits for the black.
Miscued, still got the yellow. You can find the humor in that at 9-4 in front. I don't know how much humor he'd find in it if it was 9 each. He's just requested a timeout to just do a little tip repair here.
Time running.
And the time now back in.
Well, that just goes to show, doesn't it, the fortunes of this game. Miscued, still potted the ball and still had position on the next yellow. Unbelievable. Now all he's got to do is just screw across, keep his 2 for the black.
Just wants to bump it back over the opposite corner.
Second visit.
And this 8, with the second visit now in, for a trip to the final. It's there. Quickly, the arms in the air. Carl Morris has defeated Lee Kendall in convincing fashion here. The final score reads 10-4. And it really was a dominant performance by Morris. Hugs all around again from Mom and Dad. Keith, there's not much more that you can say other than a worthy, deserving finalist.
Deserved to win the match. He's played well and Lee hasn't played well. Simple as that.
Well, he's now online for the $7,500 winner's check, £7,500 winner's check. And of course, as you now know, your opponent in the final will be Carl Morris.
Yes, should be a good final. Playing good pool. I like to see that. I think it'll be a good final. Looking forward to it.
Well, Keith, it certainly does promise to be one that we're all going to be tuned in for. And let's just recap how it all finished up. He's looking here at the last yellow. Bear in mind, remember, he's still got his 2 visits. He maintained that, as you suggested. He wanted to use it for the final 8 ball. But a very determined Carl Morris from the outset. He took a hold of this match by the scruff of the neck and was never willing to release it. He dropped the opening frame, and then from that point on, never trailed. In the end, this 8, proving to be the winning shot to see him through to the Embassy Whirlpool Final. Carl Morris has joined Jonathan in our studio.
Thank you, Jim. That's right. We have the new man who's going through to the final of the World Championships, a young Carl Morris and a very delighted Carl Morris. Carl, I have to ask you, it looked fantastic from where we were. Did you feel that you were in control of the match as it went through?
I knew that if I could get through frame to hit him at the beginning, I thought I'd do okay, because I've played him before and I know that once I get 3 or 4 frames to hit, it's very hard for him to come back. So I thought if that's what I'd done, I'd win the match. You have to be confident.
When we spoke earlier this week, you said that you felt the World Championships brought the best out of you. Do you feel now that you can perhaps go one step further and beat Keith Brewer?
Yeah, I'm confident. Yeah. I don't come all this way, I'm not feel confident. If I don't feel confident about Rita fan, if I play well like I did against Lee today, then I've got a chance of beating them.
Congratulations again and well done. And Tony, could this be the new champion you're sitting next to?
Well, I don't think there's any reason why he shouldn't be. I mean, the man has shown what he can do. He's won like a great quarter-final against Jason Twist, and he's just done it again against Lee Kendall. Firing on all guns, isn't he?
All right, well, my thanks to both of you, and well done to Carl Morris again. It's the captain of England, Keith Brewer, up against his protege, Carl Morris, in the final. That's all from us from Blackpool. Until next time,